Hello, 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 everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're coming to us in the world from. My name is Frank Corva. I'm the host of the Community Chat. Today, we are joined by two very special guests, the first of which is Jon, co-founder of Harlem Bitcoin, a Bitcoin community here in New York, where I'm based as well. I've been to a number of their meetups. Super excited to have Jon on with us today, as well as Renata Rodrigues, who is the head of field operations here at Fedi. For short, I sometimes like to refer to her as just sort of the big boss. Always stuff happening when Renata is around. And this is also her first time joining us here on the Fedi Community Chat. I don't know how that is a reality that she has not joined us yet, but we are righting this wrong today, ladies and gentlemen. Renata, Jon, how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to be with you, Frank, and Renata, of course.
Likewise.
Hey, Frank, I don't know what I'm more excited about, if it's being here finally, or talking with Jon, because it's such an amazing person. I love him.
Here at Fedi, where we can be excited about many things. We have permission to be excited about all of these things all at once. So we're going to have some fun today. Super excited to have Jon on. As I mentioned, I started going to some Harlem Bitcoin meetups. I think it was a few years ago now. Jon, I say this as a former educator myself. Jon has this amazing ability to meet people where they're at, this deep understanding of Bitcoin and technology like Fedi, and also just this empathy to connect with people. And I think it's really exciting to have him on to maybe talk about some of those techniques today. But I want to actually rewind a little bit further back than that. Jon, when I first spoke with you for the community spotlight piece that we wrote on Harlem Bitcoin, I started with this idea that there was a point in time when even Jon from Harlem Bitcoin did not understand Bitcoin. He was actually skeptical of it at one point. So maybe let's rewind as far back as that, because I'm sure most people, or some people who come to Harlem Bitcoin, have that same degree of skepticism, and you're constantly reminded of what that's like. So let me pass the mic over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Frank. I think back in the day when I was a normie, I'm still a normie. I take pride in that because it keeps you scaled down to the base layer. And I got introduced to Bitcoin a couple of years back. My cousin, actually, Richie, highly educated guy. He's a medical doctor, and he told me about this technology. And of course, I was skeptical. Like, how does it work? What is it? Who runs it? Who operates it? What is it backed by? That's always the normie questions. And so I started talking about it and really trying to scratch the surface. And other people around me were into crypto. And so I remember one time I was at work, and I think someone was on TV talking about crypto, about to do this big release. And someone says in the kitchen where I work, they were like, oh yeah, it's decentralized. And I was like, oh wow, that sounds interesting. What does that mean? And he says, I don't know, it just sounds cool. And and at that point I was like, I have to start really finding out for my own and doing my own research what this thing is all about. And so too, that's where we remain in Harlem Bitcoin as an education base layer for folks who want to know what this thing really all is about. And we stay tried and true to that. And it's very easy to do that when you're not selling anything, when you have nothing to offer but education and knowledge. And when we constantly put out there that you have to do your own research, you have to find where this fits in your life. And it does fit in certain people's lives at a certain time, but there has to be some type of event sometimes that causes that.
Yeah, appreciate that. Renata, something that comes to mind as I asked Jon this question is, was there ever a point in time where you didn't understand Bitcoin, or were you just born to do this? Was there a period of learning for you as well that you remember, that you recall?
No. I in fact, like, I'm learning every single day. Like I feel the old lady that goes to our Slack in Fedi and go to the engineers like, explain this to me, as I'm 5 years old.
But I think that there's a good message in that, is that we all don't have to understand everything about Bitcoin to appreciate what it can do for us. It's the same way that maybe not all of us understand the ins and outs of how maybe email works or something like that, and to still be able to benefit from it. That being said, I think it's really important to be a lifelong learner, and you help people do that through Harlem Bitcoin, Jon. And I want to come back to that. This concept of Harlem Bitcoin, where did it first come from? And then what were the steps to getting it off the ground?
Yeah, so very organic. I know people use that, it's kind of cliche, but it really happened very organically. People I met online on Twitter, the other co-founders, back when I was using Twitter like really hard. And we were all talking about Bitcoin, of course, but we were all talking about meeting up. This was back in the day when Clubhouse was very active. People were getting onto Clubhouse in these rooms.
Now I'm feeling old, John. Very old.
Yeah, right now. I just dated myself. Yeah. So we met very organically, and I didn't know. I was spending hours, literally hours, on Clubhouse and Twitter listening and asking questions and listening. And people were either abroad, international, or they were in different states. And when I found a small group of guys who said that they were in New York City, I jumped at the opportunity to kind of meet these guys. And so we literally met up in our headquarters, what we call our headquarters, now in a restaurant. Our president of our not-for-profit, he actually owns a restaurant in Harlem. And so we met there, and we came up with a few basic strategic goals. And we put down on paper that we want to educate people, that we want to keep it simple. We don't want to make this a very high technical level kind of meetup. And we want to ensure that people, and that we want to be Bitcoin only specific. I mean, it was very, very basic strategic goals. At first, we didn't have any plan to becoming a non-for-profit and doing work. We didn't have any plans to do any of that stuff. But that's really how it really started, very organically. I met some people who were local to me and decided or started inquiring if they wanted to meet up, and they did. And we did, and we came up with very strategic goals. All of us were very goal oriented. We just didn't want to meet up just to talk about Bitcoin. We had a very specific goal in mind, and that is to create Harlem into a merchant area where people could be onboarded, merchants specifically, by up and down the block there. At the time, Harlem Safari Restaurant was on 116th Street. We wanted to kind of onboard merchants into accepting Bitcoin. Although we haven't gotten that goal yet, still, our strategic goal is to have other merchants understand Bitcoin but accept it. And so we've had some good experiences with some merchants, but it's still a lofty goal still.
It's amazing. Renata, when you hear something like this, is this the same story you hear from a lot of people who found communities, just sort of, hey, let's just get together, start teaching people the ins and outs of how these things work? Obviously, maybe set a few sort of goals, maybe some principles or whatever, but is this a common story that you often hear?
Yeah, I mean, I've been, especially on the Western tool, like in the United States, I've been like more active connecting with the meetup leaders. And what blows my mind is the fact that these meetups being run like for ages. Like how long is Harlem on
It was pre. Let me see, 2000 and I think it was pre-COVID, definitely.
Wow.
So
Good.
we've
Yeah,
gone pretty
I
strong.
visited you guys. I don't know if it was like in the early stage. Was that like
Yeah.
you were like running on the building? I don't know if you're
Yeah,
still
we were
there.
renting some community spaces.
Yes.
We were going to see tenant associations, local civic associations.
Yeah.
We were doing that. Yeah.
And I remember one of the things that impressed me was the audience that they had. So it was like several ages. We had like old ladies learning, we had, and how excited they were. It's not that like, oh, I'm here, I have no clue what you're talking about. But I've been seeing this, and what I love the most is to see the energy and the fact that these guys been running on their own, from money from their own pockets,
Yeah.
It's such. I always say this: community leaders are people that they care enough that they don't hold this just for themselves. Like, and it's incredible, like the work that they've been doing. So I think that's the magic that Bitcoin is being done for people. When you are awakened, you cannot just keep this for yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
I think it reminds me of a quote. I was just speaking with Dread, a Jamaican developer, open source developer who works on an app called Flash, and he said something like open source developers just exist on a different frequency. But I would say the same about community leaders. There's something, they want other people to have what they have, the same way these open source developers want the world to use what they're producing. The community leaders want the people that they work with to understand what they understand, and there's inherently a very beautiful nature to that communication education because it's selfless in a way. You want things to be better for those around you, and you're taking the time and some of your own resources to make sure that that happens. Renata, I want to stick with you for a second. When I spoke with Jon for the Community Spotlight feature, and again, this is the former teacher in me, I'm constantly not only paying attention to what people say, but how they say it. And when Jon spoke about some of the advice you've given him over time, he sort of, he lit up in a, in a way that he was just like, he really felt supported by the advice that you'd given him. And some of just the tips that you've given him in terms of community building, in terms of educational and pedagogical techniques. What are these magic things you've told Jon? What did you tell Jon? How did you help him along in his journey as a community leader? Yeah.
If he doesn't come up with some of them, I'll definitely come
all
up
right,
with
let's
go.
Let's go.
First of all, I need to say, like, this is I'm not that high level of Jon. Like, I'm not. I feel like I was teaching the pastor how to preach.
Okay.
It's not that. But like from the experiences that we had, so it's two things that I noticed and that makes a lot of difference for people. One is being very practical, right? Like if you learn, sometimes we go in the Jurassic Park of the money, how money was created, to talk about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And sometimes we just say, if I have a way for you to send money back home cheaper, would you use it? The person say, yes, of course. And through that, the person start to get like so excited about it. And then they ask you like, what I'm doing? What is that? What I'm using? So it's kind of a reverse thing. You give the value first, and then the person gets hooked. And then after that, they like, oh, okay, I want to see more. What else this thing can do for me, right? So one is the practical way, but I think the most important one, and sometimes we fail as the Bitcoiners because we are so excited about the philosophy and everything that we forget to listen what people want, what are the problems of the people, right?
Yep.
So we come and say, Bitcoin is going to solve all of your problems. The person is like, okay, but what is my problem? What is that? So I think these two components are so important, and sometimes we miss because, and I understand because we're excited about the tool. We want to give everything to everyone, and there is always this logic that okay, we're gonna go with the history of the money, then we're gonna go and people sometimes they don't get there, it's just how you use the credit card. You don't ask, oh, there was the history of the money, then money. No,
right.
you think I tap that and it works, right? So what is the technology behind this? I think out of 100% of people, 10% gonna ask about the technology or less, but it's useful. They use every single day, right? So I think it's a kind of the logic that's been changed.
It's a great point. Yeah, Jon, if you want to add to that?
Yeah, I do really. I mean, that's one of the key things I was going to point out, Renata, is that use the technology. Don't try to explain it, right? We all drive. We have a driver's license. We could drive a car, but we're not mechanical engineers. We don't know how to make motors. We don't know how it works, but yet we still use the car. We're not software engineers, but everyone has email. We don't know how the protocol works, but we use it and it's useful. And so, that's what really that Renata shared with me. She says, don't try to show them how the technical aspect of how this technology works. Get them together and ask them, and first listen to what they're experiencing, and then say, okay, do you want to send money from one place to another without having any friction at all, directly, and not having to wait for it? And then you just use it. Once they use it, they'll like, wait a second. Then they start asking questions. So you kind of leverage the inquisitiveness or the skepticism of the people in your audience, and then you build on that. But you must listen. You have to listen to people first. You're not there trying to force feed them something from your angle. You have to find out and listen. What is their skepticism about? Do they feel it's all about scammers? Do they feel that what they have is better? Listen to them.
Yep.
And then you know where to start, because you have the technical knowledge, you have the education. I'm the normie of the group. There's other co-founders that are very high level and technical. I'm the normie. but I love to explain things and teach and have patience and find out where people are coming from to try to meet them where they're at. And so both those two things are exactly what Renata has always shared with me, and just make it simple. And so I think that's where we bond. And Fedi does a great job of transitioning that, or creating the gap, the bridge between the gap for that. So it's just, that's what we stick to, and that's what we're keep gonna pushing.
Love that.
And Frank, just something very interesting, because in Bitcoin we always say don't trust, verify, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with the communities, this doesn't work that much on that mechanism. You trust first. You trust.
First you
I
trust,
trust
right.
Jon, and then I verify. And the funny thing is, we are missing the verifying component, right? We are just saying it's good, it's amazing,
Right.
but you're not leading people to the verify component as well.
Is my question there, Renata? I think maybe what a little bit what I had in mind, and I'm glad you brought this up, is, ideally I'm sure Jon would love to see some of his community members running Bitcoin nodes, or even running a Fed, whatever that is. Ideally, as you mentioned, it's only going to be maybe 10%, maybe 15%, 20%. And I've heard this from community leaders around the world. I was recently speaking with Herman from Bitcoin Akazi about this, and other people as well. Not everyone is going to be that person that goes and runs a node and does everything the perfect sort of Bitcoin etiquette way. But this is, I'll stick with you just to first answer this, Renata. Do you feel like what ends up happening is that naturally some people do go down that path? They do want to learn more. They dive down what's called the Bitcoin rabbit hole. Should we just sort of allow that to happen naturally? Those people will find their way. They'll get more involved if they want to, as opposed to sort of pushing them to sort of like, here are all the rules of being a good Bitcoiner, and if you don't do these things, then blah, 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 blah. Do you feel like it's more of a natural process, Renata?
Yeah, I think so. It's respecting where people are meeting and respecting people where they are, right? And as I said, the trust component, if you do that, people always come back. It's I've been seeing this all the times. They're gonna, and you might not be a community leader, but I consider if you are more the technical person in your family, you are the people that your parents your relatives gonna come to you and gonna ask you questions, right? It's the same logic. People gonna trust on you for that, and it's way more natural. You don't feel like knocking the door, selling books to everyone,
That's it. Yeah.
And the aura around this is way better as well. One of the things that I always highlight, it's how the aura around Bitcoin meetups are totally different. The people there, people feel like I'm in a safe place. Sometimes you go to events, you're like, oh my God, this guy's so scammy. I don't want to talk with this guy beside me because they're gonna sell something to me. And you go to Bitcoin meetups, you want to meet more people like you. And it's a connection. I feel it's like the gold circle that you have, like why, how, and what, right?
Okay.
And generally, people don't go for the why first; they go for the what, right? Like, oh, I sell computers, how I sell, and then why? Because I want to make money, right? So in the case of Bitcoin, you come first from the why. You come like, I wanna more people access freedom technologies. I want more freedom finance to people, right? So then when you come with the why, everyone around you that connects to this why become like just this in the same. We glue together, And then Bitcoin can go down, can go up. The Lightning transaction can't work, but we still stick together because we are connected by the why. We are not connected by the what,
Love that.
So I feel this aura is related to that. Like it's something bigger than just the technology.
Yeah, it really is.
That's amazing. I appreciate Renata. It's kind of philosophical and fun, but I appreciate that. That's important. You brought this up, and we've used this phrase, meeting people where they're at, a few times. And Jon, as I mentioned, I think you're really a master of this. I think people trust you. They They can see that you're a good human being, that you have this information, this why that you want to share with them.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, if generally speaking, maybe you could give us a few examples of where exactly some of the people you've met in Harlem are at. Are they worried about inflation? Are they thinking about in Bitcoin as a different money that helps them hedge against that? Are they worried about sending money back home to where they're from? We know there's plenty of immigrants here in New York City that need to do remittance payments. Where are people at when it comes to the types of people that you're engaging with in Harlem?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's skepticism all around, and so it's a mixed bag. And again, just going back just real quick, sometimes people who are closest to you do trust you, but sometimes it's those same folks who are in your most inner circles that don't trust you or do not heed your advice, and that's fine too. It's all about, as the presenter, how to approach that, how to respond to that type of stimulus, and it's that you have to recognize that everyone will come to something, in this case Bitcoin, when it's their time, when it's necessary. And that may be inflation. It may be that they've tried everything else. And so now they come to, oh, that guy was talking about that. He was really nice. You have to present, if you care about people, and I truly believe in this kind of ethos.
Oh, we lost John.
Oops.
That's like
We lost him.
He was queuing up for like the most profound statement. Yeah, if you care about people, and we lost. We'll give John just a minute to reconnect. But I think that just to maybe summarize quickly, caring about people. And I think, Renata, to highlight a point you just made, this idea of having to trust first, which is kind of antithetical to the way we're often taught in Bitcoin, or the way Bitcoiners talk to each other. Don't trust, verify. There is a certain level of trust that is necessary. And technology often does not just spread itself. It's people that help to spread the technology. And at some level, you're going to need to trust that person who you're speaking with, because that person has maybe done more homework on the topic. I think we have John back. Our producer is telling us that we have John back.
Okay.
But let's squeeze him in there. John, you were setting yourself
Welcome
up.
back.
Oh man, sorry about that. I hate that so much.
That's all right. But you were talking about this, so trusting a person like yourself, and then if you, I think you're just sort of touching on, I think, about on your desire to work with people and why it's important that people look to other people when it comes to this technology.
Yeah. So thanks for that, for setting that back up. So people will trust you, but sometimes it's the people that are most close to you that don't heed your advice or may not be there. And I think there's got to be some type of, not climactic thing, but there's got to be a reason for someone to come to Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is this freedom technology. I believe in that type of ethos. Not everyone does, but that's where I approach it from. I don't care about it really being a money. It is a money, and I could leverage it that way. But it's the ability for me to be free in my own agency, in my own autonomy, sovereignty, to be able to make choices for myself. And that's how I present it. But people must come to it when they come to it. And so when it comes to Harlem, and I'm the only non-Harlem person, by the way, but when it comes to Harlem in New York City, I believe, and New York is a tough place for Bitcoin, but we'll talk about that maybe a little bit later. But, there's a mixed bag. Once people start realizing that inflation is hurting them, every conversation I get into with everyone I speak to, whether it be in city employment, whether it be in the private sector, everyone is having the same conversations. They're saying, man, I'm working more and I still can't make it. I just got a promotion and I still can't afford my kids' education, their extracurricular, their sports, or their music. They're struggling. And so this is a very very unique spot to meet people, when you can not sell them something, but then introduce them to something, because they're going to come with their skepticisms. And when we have meetups, and by the way, people are finding Harlem Bitcoin very naturally. We're putting up, we're not doing too much advertising, but people are coming to these meetups, and we did not invite them. They're searching for it, and they find something local to them. I guess their algorithm, their local Google machine is shoving this, putting us in front of them. But people are searching, they're inquisitive, but everyone, I could tell you, the common thread is that people are working more and they still cannot make it. And that is across the board what I'm seeing, that people are struggling, and they don't feel free. They are, no matter what side of the aisle politically that they're on, they still don't feel free in the land of the free and the home of the brave. And so that's why when I was talking earlier about us being uniquely positioned, because everyone's watching the US. Everyone's watching us. They know that there's something special happening in the US as far as geopolitically. And so whether you're in a WhatsApp group with Global South and all Africans, or whether you're speaking to a bunch of people in Latin America or other places in the globe, people are watching us as a common, right? As a common thread, as a standalone position, and they're comparing what they're going through to us. And so they're listening to our president, they're listening to our politic. And so when people now on this side, us, when we start saying, man, we're struggling, man, we're not free, we got surveillance here and all this stuff, people listen to us and they take heed. And so once, as far as going back to a meetup and what people are experiencing that we're meeting, once you express the realities, and it's important to be truthful about your position when you're speaking to people, like, yeah, I'm a city worker, but I'm struggling too. But this is what I do. People's ears then pop up. Their tentacles up. Man, that guy's struggling too? Man, when you become vulnerable and you start sharing your testimonies about how you came to this technology and how it's helping you, that's very powerful. Testimony service is very, very powerful thing. So that's kind of how we approach it. That's what I'm seeing in the couple of years that we've founded Harlem Bitcoin. And so I take that very seriously, that people are listening to us and finding us organically. And so that is a unique opportunity to spread this Bitcoin gospel, if you would. So.
Appreciate that. I want to stick with this for a little bit, maybe a little bit more focus on the U.S. We often don't do that here, but I think having Renata with us to discuss this, it's important. So you've been in touch with Jon from Harlem Bitcoin. You've also spoken with Rod in Bitcoin Park, which is down in Tennessee. Let's talk a little bit more specifically about the use case for Fedi in the United States. So Fedi, there's many different ways it can be used. It is a super app. It's not just a wallet. You can use it for communication, for community building, for many different things, for accessing a number of mini apps. Renata, with what you see happening in the United States, maybe just using Harlem Bitcoin and Bitcoin Park as an example, compared to, let's say, Latin America, Southeast Asia, what differences are you noting? Are people using Fedi differently here, or is it just the same? Are people using it for the same reasons globally?
So they are the same and different. So you have, of course, you have more access to different types of finance systems, right? And also you have a different way access to better internet, better technologies as well, right? So this makes a lot of difference. So what I've been seeing in US is a growing interest on privacy components. A lot of people are getting afraid with all the situations that have been happening, especially in Europe, in France, about people getting kidnapped because they have Bitcoin and the information that have been leaked in some extent from some exchanges or for even organizations like government. So these are a bit, I would say this is not like the biggest amount of people interested on Fedi, but like it's a big portion in US. I'm seeing more people looking for privacy in general for their family, but also being more empowered, like to be able to manage their funds as a family, manage their funds as a community. And people also very interested on the components that we do everything in one place, to make it easy for onboarding other members of the families. Other interesting components that I've been seeing, it's related to the immigrant community. So because we are spread globally, I've been seeing more people coming to us and say, "Oh, so I can send money in chat to my family. I live in New York. And I can send through Fedi as in chat to my family. But the important thing, they can cash out the funds as well." Yeah. Right. So there is like these two connections between the bridge between the two. And by using Jon's example, it's like when you relate to yourself, it's much easier for people to understand. I've been sending money back home. I'm from Brazil. I lived in New Jersey before, and was really hard to explain to my mom that I was paying a lot by sending Western Union and all things like that. And when I start to send through Bitcoin, something clicked on her. Like, oh, this is so fast. And how you do this off ramping also, it's very important, right? But I would say these three components, right? Like people looking for more privacy, easy way to onboard people, and then people are afraid of the time. The winter is coming. That looks like, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
yeah. Now it's something that people are becoming more conscious of. I think the Overton window, generally speaking, on privacy, even government officials acknowledging it,
sir.
and noting that we have to do something about it. I've asked government officials, regulators, face to face. I said, well, what sort of privacy would you want? Do you want me to see your entire balance or net worth when you pay for a coffee? No, I don't. Okay, well, then we're on the same page. And I think that it's just a
Yeah.
human experience. And the more we can discuss this being a necessity in an increasingly digital world, I think the more okay people get with talking about it and coming up with the proper solutions for it. So I think this is actually a good thing that we're moving in this direction. Speaking,
Yeah, Frank,
please,
could, I just want to add just a quick point.
please.
With a feature about Fedi in this multi-spend type of group chat. I've been connecting with some people over in Zambia, and very organically again, and come to find out we have certain things in common. And they unfortunately they had a recent. So I'm speaking to the ability to use and utilize this multi-spend feature within Fedi to help and to be charitable. And I'm not trying to virtue signal here, but what I'm trying to say is that when you create a community amongst people, people do trust you. And when they feel that when they could trust people, they will lean on them in bad times. And so that's what community is about. Those are the people that you go to first. And so being able to help people and be charitable, you'd be surprised how much charity comes from people when they realize that they can receive help in that same way. So if they know that they can go to you because they can access help, in this case, freedom money, you'd be very surprised how much people are willing to put up when you ask for that in return. And so multi-spend, this feature, I don't know how much it's being leveraged. Maybe Renata could speak to that. But these groups are the ability for this idea of a community bank where people can charitably put money in a bucket where everyone has access to, and then there are voters. It just can't be withdrawn. There are voters that must verify the transaction and say, okay, yes, it's good. Able to pull this out is verified. It's phenomenal. And so, yeah, chat, money, and a whole lot more. But the community building aspect internationally, I think, is really, once people start realizing that they can connect with people abroad and get help that they need, the community circles really begin to grow. So I just wanted to mention that as another means.
I appreciate that. You prompted me to bring up our multi-spend article that we've written here that Renata helped us with. John, I think we have if we need some help in the marketing department, we're surely going to reach out. You're
Exactly,
doing
I'm telling you.
Yeah, for sure.
Renata,
We
you were gonna
utilize every aspect of it. I mean, you have to really find out. And the customer service, I don't want to sound like I'm shilling anything, but it's like, it is, as they say, it is what it is. If it's good, you use it. If it's not good, you just don't use it.
Fair enough. Renata, you wanted to add something there?
Yeah, so it is interesting that John highlighted this, because this is a fun feature, because a lot of people they have been using this feature for transparency in a private app. Like, it's a very ironic.
Which is interesting. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the idea of like having a lot of organizations, but even small groups, they've been using this to give transparency, because then you see who received the funds. In some organizations, people even send proofs. So they send photos. Oh yeah, that money that you sent to me, we bought, I don't know, something, and then they take the picture and proof of work. And recently, and this is like very, very recent, I spoke with August she's from the Bitcoin for Gen Z. And she was telling me that one of the use cases that she's been seeing in US is the saving groups within young women in US. I got surprised about it, but like, and we were like talking about it in the idea like of having a group of women that puts the money aside. So let's save money for us to travel in the end of the year, or like. So it's fun because they save money together. But also it's a good idea because, like you start to exercising the idea, even the thinking about the idea of saving. And that's something that Bitcoin offers to
Yes.
anyone, right? Like just bringing like another context. I remember like going to El Salvador, and this lady that was selling pupusas, she was telling to me like, Renata, before, if I pick my money and put inside of under my pillow, this if for a year, this would have I would buy half of what I can buy today, right? And if I would go to the bank and say, I have $1, can I open a saving account? They're gonna laugh on me,
Right.
And Bitcoin opened up this idea for me to save $1, $1, $1, And in the end of the day, she's like super, proud of herself because she showed to me like over the years I already have $1,000, right?
Wow.
So she taught, finance to me, without knowing. But that's the hopeless that we feel that Jon has been saying, like when you say $10 is nothing, so I'm going to spend this money, right? Because what I'm going to do, I'm going to deposit in the bank. The bank is going to eat a percent of that.
Percentage, right?
Yes.
So what are we going to do with that? And Bitcoin, it's really democratic in this way because it allows you to save as well.
Appreciate that. That's a beautiful story, and it is really inspiring to get people to start thinking like that because, and I know I've had this conversation with Jon, and Jon has taught people in the Harlem Bitcoin community this. It's Bitcoin as a catalyst. It starts as this thing that starts to change our behaviors, right?
Yes.
This
Yes.
idea of not spending it because we know it's just going to burn a hole in our pocket, or the bank's going to take a fee, or it's going to lose money, but changing our ideas, lowering our time preference, and saving for the future. I've seen a lot of that firsthand myself in my own travels, and it's a very, very special thing. A few things I just wanted to let people know. If you're a member of the audience and you're watching here, first of all, thank you so much. Second, please feel free underneath the stream to leave any questions you'd like us to ask. We're going to get to some questions from the audience in just a second. I had one final question for Jon here. There were a bunch of other things I actually wanted to ask him, but we've gotten on some other topics here, and I'm super happy that we did because this has all been great. But generally speaking, and we've touched on this a bit, but just to maybe give some maybe explicit tips, Jon, maybe some very practical things. We get people from around the world that tend to tune into this live stream, to this chat that we do weekly. If people are thinking, hey, I'm gearing up to maybe start a community, or I just started a community and I really just need 2 or 3 practical things to keep in mind, what are some of the first things you would tell them to do?
Yeah. So I always tell people are into different things very naturally. They have, they're in a run club, they're in a book club, they're in a Toastmasters, how to speak and give public speaking club, work clubs. Meet people. I would say start there. Introduce whatever you're doing to people that you already share a common thread with, that you're already meeting with.
Yep.
This doesn't have to be a very arduous thing. It doesn't have to be a very strenuous thing. If you want to start a meetup, like I said, to certain people who want to start a block association, just knock on your neighbor's door. You already live, the common thread there is you already live on the same block with them. They see you pulling out your trash and garbage every day, right? You should be able to say, hey, how you doing, right? Simply speak with those people that you are naturally coming in close proximity to and say, hey, you want to do this, you want to do that? Even if they don't, at least now you've dropped this dime, you've dropped this piece of information, right? Okay, we meet up. I used to be part of this cycling club. We met up on Sundays and we did these road biking routes, right? And those guys were very easy to talk to when we're taking a break, right? When we get to the end of our loop, and we could talk about anything, right? But then we drop that knowledge and then we start having very, very, very cordial conversations about the subject matter. So my advice to anyone who's looking to start a meetup, people who you are in close proximity with, student body, a student union at school, whatever it is, start talking about these things and just say, hey, listen, did you hear about this? I'm skeptical about this. Would you want to just dive into it? Maybe we can invite someone down who knows a little bit more. Maybe we'll have a debate on it. People love to debate. You can't get two, right? Everyone loves to argue, right? You can't get two messages down in any group thread without going there. Hey, you want to have a debate on this? Because these things are something that people want to talk about. So, that's my advice. Meet people where they're at in whatever common space that you're sharing with them, and drop dime and say, hey, listen, I've been hearing a lot of talk about this. I don't know too much about it. You want to let's share our ideas on it. Yeah. And that's basically it. Usually
I love that. Yeah, I think especially not saying, hey, I want to tell you about this thing, but let's share our ideas. Let's talk about this thing that you probably heard something about, but maybe you're unfamiliar with, or you've heard certain things about, and you want to sort of maybe test those things out, how true they are, or get a little bit more information. I think that that's a really great way to do things. There's one thing that I'm going to kind of bring up, if you don't mind, if we could just touch on quickly as well. I think when people come and they're new to Harlem Bitcoin, one of the things you do is sort of just show them how Bitcoin works, send them a few sats. Could you give us a little bit of information on exactly how this works? And I say it only because I think sometimes a step-by-step, because I think oftentimes it's like, where do we start with Bitcoin, or what wallet do we pull up, or how do we do this? So how exactly do you do this?
Yeah, so this is done very intentionally. It's very strategic. So when we used to be meeting with tenant associations and buildings, or community boards here in New York City, or civic associations, what we do is we give a giveaway, right? And usually it's a book, something authored by someone very well known. But we give people rewards. That is done very intentionally because everyone wants to win something. Everyone wants to feel that they could gain something or level up. And so this is a strategy that is used. And so most recently we've been using like a gamified quiz. And what we do is we ask a couple of questions, very basic stuff, some related to Bitcoin, some not. We go through that. And then to pay out our rewards, we use Fedi. Because it's a wallet, because it's a means to interact peer-to-peer. It's a means to chat with people, does everything. We pay out our rewards via Fedi once that icebreaker is done. So sometimes we give away a book, whoever shows up to the meetup first, right? We'll put something underneath their chair or something like that. And we give away something in that way. Or we'll do the icebreaker. Whoever comes and shares a project, something that they're doing. We like to be friendly. We like to be charitable, and this builds community. Everything's based on not trying to sell you something, but it's about charity. It's about giving away something of value to someone where they feel that they could increase. Everyone wants to level up. They can increase, whether it be in knowledge, whether it be in economic position. And so this is done very strategically when we utilize Fedi to pay out our rewards through our icebreaker. We use a tool like it's a gamified quiz. It works very well, and we're going to do it tonight. We have a meetup going on tonight, and we're going to do just that.
Love that. Well, if you're in New York, you know where to be tonight. Safari up in Harlem. It's right above Central Park. Definitely check out what they have going on. Also, just want to let everybody know, if you're listening and maybe you missed a little bit of the beginning of this, or you want to rewatch it, it won't just continue to remain on X. It will be there, I should say, but it will also be on our YouTube channel. So I want to just quickly bring up a little QR code there, where we'd appreciate if you could like and subscribe. And also all of our past community chats are up there as well. And we're actually, we're looking to start getting some more how-tos up there as well. So definitely subscribe if you are listening to this right now. Also, I want to make sure we get to some community questions. I think we have 3 lined up from what the producer is telling me. Round of applause for our producer, Mary, please, everybody. Yeah, doing an excellent job as always, crushing it as always. Let's go with the first community question, if you don't mind. Let's see. All right. Jon, do you think having a physical space played a role in growing your community? Fantastic question.
Nice question.
Yeah, so I would have to say absolutely. Finding space is always, whether you're a church organization, a block association, which I started here on my block, having a space, a brick and mortar, always is a challenge. In fact, one time we had a community space that was all set and ready to go, and something happened with the planning and the scheduling of the space, and we wound up having to go over in Central Park and doing it outside. It all worked out, but that day we had some other supporters there, and some endorsements, and some and like name brand people, and we just rolled with it, and we were out. So thank God it was a nice day. But yes, I think having a space, we're very unique in that our president is a business owner. and owns his own space and owns his own business. And Safari is one of the first restaurants, I think, if not the first restaurant in New York City to accept Bitcoin right over the counter as a point of sale. So that was very special. It was unique and it definitely helped. But I think, and I don't recommend this for safety reasons, but if you have a tight community and you could open up your home or your church space, I think those spaces become very accessible for people. The home is tough to open up because, you know, it's challenging that way. So I don't recommend that. But if you have a church space, something public, it can help. So yes, definitely. For us, it was unique and it was very powerful that we had a space, and it was very helpful.
I think and be as I think be as imaginative as you'd like when it comes to that. I actually went to a meetup in Philadelphia. It's the Philly John meetup that they have there. It's in the back of a Chinese restaurant. So I've been to some amazing meetups. Yeah. So keep your mind open when it comes to you just need 4 walls and a roof most of the time.
Right.
And even in the case of John, they're doing it outside in Central Park. So sometimes those 4 walls and a roof aren't even fully necessary.
Yeah.
I think we had 2 other questions. Let's make some space for the next one here. All right. So how can I get my members past the learning curve on Fedi? I'm gonna have to go with Renata on this one. Then we'll go back to John if you wanna piggyback on whatever Renata shares here.
Yes, I understand there is like a lot of limitations sometimes because we offer too much that sometimes people are like, oh my God, okay, what do we where do I start, right? And we've been trying to do again the same logic, right? What is the use case here, right? So if it's something like, for example, that you want to make more gamified, you can use like we do a lot of pass the sets. We know that the in-chat transaction, it's something that everyone loves on the app and makes them understand the simplicity of Bitcoin. So I think they is the same as Bitcoin. They don't need to know all the features about Fedi in one shot. You know, you can start for something that is more accessible to them, like, oh, let's WhatsApp sets between ourselves in chat in Fedi, you know, or let's buy something on mini app. One of the things that and this is very funny, but I know I need to highlight this, like normies get Fedi way faster than Bitcoiners in general.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
And it's really funny. I come around and say, who here thinks that Bitcoin it's money? It's not money, and everyone hands up. And who here think that Bitcoin is difficult? Everyone hands up. So then we do an exercise that is we divide in groups, pass the sets, and they need to pass in chat. And then it's kind of fun. People plays like it's almost like a telephone with money. And then after that, we put a task to the groups like to buy something on Bitrefill, buy like a top up a phone or buy a gift card as a group. And then we stop in there and I ask them like, okay, who here think Bitcoin is not money? Everyone stand their hands again. I'm like, but you just bought a top up your phone. You just bought a gift card. And who here think Bitcoin is difficult? You just pass Bitcoin around without feeling that is there. So I think the tip is that like you don't need to give everything. You know, understand where they are, and then go from that.
Yeah. One thing I would recommend too, I think it's a great place, and I mean this, obviously I work for Fedi, but I mean this sincerely. I think it's a really great place to start a virtual community space or a complement to your physical community space like Harlem Bitcoin has. So I think we actually have a QR code too. I would check out the community feature of it. Doesn't cost anything to set up. You don't have to put in your name or any sort of information. People can contribute via NIMS and all this kind of stuff, and it's private. So if possible, we'll bring that up. But it's something to mention as well. Definitely, the community function of Fedi is a very cool thing. I think we have. Powerful. Yeah, very, very cool
Yeah.
stuff.
And that one point on that is like, because
Please.
that's the feedback that we get from community leaders, right? Like you come and talk about Bitcoin maps on one session, and then the other session you talk about Bitrefill, and then people start like, oh, what is the name of that app that you said that time, for us? So a lot of community leaders, what they do, they been putting these apps inside of their communities, so the community has as a reference, oh, okay, that's the places, that's the projects that they showed some point in the meetup too.
Yeah, I could definitely, when you use the technology, people get it.
Yep.
And it's as simple as that. The learning curve, if you want to defeat the learning curve, just have people use it. Skeptical people or people who are already into this technology. Sometimes the only thing I see is that sometimes people are looking for similar. They're comparing and contrasting to tools that they're already using. So,
Mm-hmm.
for example, they'll be using Telegram or using WhatsApp. They'll be using all these long-standing kind of messaging tools, Signal and that, and they want similar features. And they kind of, oh, I can't do this, so that's that. But yet, I just gave a talk in my church the other day about what we give up, what we give up as a matter of convenience for privacy. And so, yeah, you have all these things, but yet this application bogarts your entire contact list. And so, right now in my church, we've had our last two pastors that have been impersonated in these other
Interesting.
applications. And I don't want to downplay any other platform. I'm just going to state the facts. A lot of times, people are looking for similar. So the learning curve is that, oh, I can't do this, I'm not interested. But yet I always say to people, well, have you ever experienced this or experienced that? He says, yeah, that sucks. Okay, well then this is something that may be different for you. You'll have a different experience. I don't want to say better. Again, I don't want to down talk any other platform, but privacy, like I mentioned many times before, and Renata supported that, is that people are interested in privacy. They're interested in not giving up their privacy on the basis of the convenient, the feature-rich platform. But Fedi is going to the moon with features right now, so they're doing updates by the week, I think. Yeah, so.
There's a lot. Yeah, it's like a fire hose. If you're in our Slack channels, it's very special. There's a lot happening for sure.
Yes.
I want to make sure. I think we have two other community questions. I don't want to stop it. No, that's okay. I just want to make sure we get to them because I know people. We appreciate the questions being asked, so we want to make sure we get to them. So, John, which Fedi feature have you noticed your community found the most helpful? That's a great question. Yeah.
So the question is again, which feature is most helpful? I think there's many, man. I can't list one. So the ability to create these mini apps, I think, is very helpful because if someone has a very powerful tool that they'd like to share with their community, it's like, think about this. I'll make this correlation. Let's say you have a town hall, a digital town, actual town hall where you go, and in that town hall in your town, you have a bunch of postings on a poster board of things that are happening when your garbage goes out, how to get a dog license, I don't know, whatever, fishing license, whatever. All that's on the wall there. So too, you could do in Fedi. And in that digital town square, you could post anything that you want that you think is relative to your community, and people have immediate access to it. And I think that's one of the most powerful features that you can have, is the ability to post something that's specific to your community that people have all around the clock access to, whether it be an educational tool, whether it be anything, people have access to it, whether it be your website or something, something that you think is important. The other thing is, I think that multispend chat is, I think it's a game changer. And if people don't really understand it, they need to do a deep dive and scan this QR code and get in there, begin to understand, how can this apply to me? What friction point am I having that multi-spend could it be a peer-to-peer exchange? Could be. Could it be a place where charity reigns and people who need, like I said earlier, a gentleman had a tragic event where someone at their church was in a car crash and passed away, and they needed help to get to and from the hospital and different things, and there was money there available to that community.
Amazing.
So the multi-spend is a transparent way within a super privacy space oriented space where people could verify that these things, this money went to this person, and this is what it was used for. And you have people who vote on that, and it could be vote up or it could vote down. So I think Multispend and the digital town square, that community, and by the way, that community does not have to be shared with the whole entire world. That community could be invite only, which is another powerful function. It's like you could find it there, right? Or you just have to know someone in the community to get in. It's kind of exclusive by design because we don't want everyone in our trusted community. And once you become trusted, then you can get in. So, you know, it's not about.
Can I ask a question there, John? Is that the way you do things with Harlem Bitcoin? I was just thinking, like, do you want to direct anyone to your Fedi community, or is it more that you only really want people who are trusted getting in? Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's a great question. And yeah, we do it at the latter. We kind of, it's a trusted community. We're at Harlem Bitcoin, and maybe other groups do it differently. We're not about getting all the likes and all the followers. We're just about building a community of people who want to be involved in something or who are curious. You know, and that's okay too. We're not trying to say we're better than anyone or exclusive, but if you just, you know, we do it in a way where people come and it's more intimate. I'll just put it that way. It's not exclusive. It's not excluding people. He says we do things a little bit more intimate. And, you know, a lot of people want to get followers. We're so geared to getting the clicks and the likes and more people following us in these algorithm, you are the product type of spaces. I won't mention those other platforms, but if it's free, it either costs too much or you're the product.
This is often how this works. Yes.
So yeah, we kind of have it a little bit more private, and that's how it works. But if you're interested, you could, you know, our website is there, all our socials are there, our Noster is there, and if you want to reach us, our socials are open to communicate with us. And if you want to know more, we'll be happy to share. But reach out to us. You know, it's everyone's welcome, and it's a decentralized community.
Yeah, so I think the best place, so I think to the point I was getting to, reach out via some of the socials, DMs, whatever that is, or even in a comment, and then you can sort of be brought into that group if you know, if I think it really is something special that, you know, it's sort of like a little bit of a screening process, which I think is important if you're trying to create a space where people are comfortable, they're comfortable sharing what they're saying versus just, hey, everybody come in here, and then you don't necessarily know who's showing up to it. So
yes, sir.
I think that's definitely it. I think we had one or two other questions left, and for the sake of time, I just want to make sure we get to them. Let's bring up the next one, if we don't mind, to our producer. And I think we may, one second here. So, John, what are the qualities you need to manage a meetup and bring more people to Bitcoin? So I think we've touched on this a bit, but definitely worth reiterating some of these points quickly. John, just for the sake of time, there's a few other things we have to get to. If we could maybe cover this in about a minute or two, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do even better. Renata covered this already. You have to be able to listen.
Yeah.
Just listen to people. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen to people, find out where they're at, and that's it. Yeah,
I think that's a beautiful way to put it. I think listening to people is there, and generally speaking, that sort of presence, that being there for people versus trying to sort of get them to see it the way you see it. Listen to the way that they see it and respond to that. I think we had one other question, if I'm not mistaken. If not, I think we may have a few shout outs from the audience, which is always nice to see. There may be some shout outs. So let's see. Loving the conversation. Coach Carbon, we appreciate you joining in. Super excited to have you here. This is the first time I'm seeing Coach Carbon's name pop up. We love to see new people. And the one and only Tandy. We love having Tandy here. Tandy's coming to us from Malawi. Exactly. I'm really enjoying. I will watch this again. Tandy, we always good to see your name and to see you pop up here in the space with us. I think we're just about ready to land the plane. Some final thoughts stuff.
I see Bit Crazy out there too. He's got a wonderful community within the Fedi as well. So I appreciate it. So happy to see you. Yeah, Bit Crazy's out there. Love the work that you're doing. Peace
big
to
shout
Bit
out to Bit Crazy.
Yes, super active.
Love that. Some final thoughts. Renata, I'll go over to you first. Is there anything we should let people know about? I mean, even Fedi jobs, anything going on that we should tell the people about?
Yeah. So first of all, I want to thank you. I so enjoyed being here for the first time.
Yeah,
and I want to send a message to the Bitcoin community. I've been saying this a lot because we value a lot the technology, and we value a lot. And because of that, we've been valuing a lot the builders, right? And we forget about the humans behind the technology and the humans that help to bring this technology to the world, right? And these communities leaders like Jon, they make like totally the difference for our ecosystem, right? We cannot, if you just have the technology, but we don't have the people that bring the technology around, it's basically no sense, right? So I've been raising this point because I feel we need to value more people like Jon, like the community leaders, not just because they bring to everyone, but also they may help us to make our products better.
Yeah.
So one funny story is like when we launched the community spaces, Jon was one of the first ones to test. I sent to him, say like, "Oh, you wanna see how it works and everything?"
Okay.
Oh, I think we just lost Frank.
I
Here we
think
go.
we're back. We're
Frank,
back.
we're
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Jon was like, okay, that's super excited. He wanted to play with the thing, test it, and he gave so much feedback to us. And from that, we just polish the app. So I think we needed to kind of change the mindset and we start to hear as well more from the ground when we build things, and the value of these guys are like huge.
Yes.
Like I can't. I always highlight this. Like let's value our humans behind the scenes as well.
Thank you.
And yes, we have positions open talking about humans. We are looking for more humans, in fact.
More human capital.
Let's go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you want to join the mission to bring like financial freedom to everyone, literally everyone. We had so many global south. We have now New York. Please join our team. Check what we have there. And continuing, download, the whole package. Follow. I'm terrible influencer, so so follow, download, get in touch. Like I don't know, ring the bell.
Your authenticity is better than any of your influencer tactics, Renata. So you're all good. You're all good there. Jon, you want to bring us home with some final thoughts here?
Final thoughts is be inquisitive, explore your options. Get away from the big flat screen TVs that are force feeding us and inundating us with information. Be inquisitive. Do your own research. Explore. Ask a lot of questions. When you get the answers to your questions, question your answers. Be a critical, independent thinker. Use your God-given worldly experiences to guide you into things that sound reasonable and unreasonable. And then explore your options, whether it be something like Fedi, an alternative messaging and value transferring freedom tool, freedom technology, or whether it be anything. Get away and dive into getting more human with people. Do more of this. Look people in the eye and have more face-to-face conversations. Put this thing down and have face-to-face conversations.
Except when you're using Fedi, though, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Well, yeah, except when you're using Fedi, right? But yeah, be more inquisitive. Explore alternatives. Don't believe everything that's being told to you, even right now. Don't trust, verify it. And be more open to speak with people and to be more charitable and learn from people. And that's what I say. Every time I get the opportunity to meet new people, whether it be in my profession or whether it be through Fedi or here, it's amazing what can happen when you listen, learn, and then you could grow from that. And so I don't want to sound virtuous or anything, but it really is empowering where this Bitcoin journey takes you. It's more than just money. It's I would say it's an experience, but it's also how can you grow from meeting other people and exploring this alternative technology, because it certainly is an alternative and it could lead you into a road of many possibilities. So that's kind of like what I would say.
I appreciate that, John. And I think there's one thing I want to highlight as well. It's an experience that I love about Bitcoin and Fedi in particular, because it makes it easy and quick to transfer Bitcoin, is that idea of I would maybe broaden the term charity, but just giving where it's necessary sometimes, or supporting someone's project on the other side of the world, whether that's in Indonesia or Kenya or Cuba or something like that. There's this really tremendous sense of empowerment on behalf of the sender, not just the person receiving the sats, but feeling, oh, I can help somebody that's in a really tough situation that easily, just peer to peer. I can make that thing. So I think that if you're looking for just that human connection and that ability to make a little bit of a difference in the world, we're not saying to send your life savings or anything like that, but even just to send some money, that show of support beyond the financial impact it has, there's an emotional impact, there's a psychological impact to that. And I think it's really, really important to experience that. Renata, I wanted to come back to you. Just a final thought. I think you had one other thing you wanted to share.
Yeah, I just want to highlight the story that John said, like can be across borders, but can be in your neighborhood, someone that had a crash, and a difficulty. Yes, I wanted to invite, if if you care about your community and you want to support in terms of like tools, how to implement this, please reach out to us. It doesn't matter where you are. We are growing our team, and we want to support. We want to empower more and more community leaders around the globe to do what they do the best, which is bring freedom, bring the technology, but also empowering their communities as well. So thank you.
I love that. I'm going to piggyback on that too. There's one cool project I just want to bring people's attention to. It's a little bit off topic, but definitely cool to check out. And that is Satinet. We've been trying to gain, to help people spread the word on what Satinet is. So this is actually physical infrastructure that helps us to get broadband internet, high-speed internet to various communities around the globe. So if that sounds interesting to you, please check it out. Please follow us on socials as well via Satinet. And I think that about wraps it up. John,
man, we gotta stop this.
Yeah, that's it, right?
Really?
We can do this all day. Yeah,
we can stop the live and we're gonna continue
here.
here.
Talking. This is a fact. This is a fact. This was really, in doing these spaces, one of the thoughts that Mary and I had, our producer for this, is just that we wanted to highlight the humans, the people who are doing this work, both within the Fedi team and people who, like John, who are working with us, communities around the globe that we work with. Because I think these stories are really beautiful, and they serve as a means to show people that Fedi is more than just technology, but it's a community, and it's a community of people globally who are working together towards similar goals. So there's always a lot to learn from one another. But more than that, I think you could just sort of pick up on the energy and the sort of camaraderie that exists. And this is sort of the beautiful thing that we were looking to highlight here. And we've done many of these so far, but it was just to acknowledge the wonderful vibes today. I want to thank you, Renata and John, for doing this. This was a lot of fun, and we sincerely appreciate your time and energy. And of course, to everybody who's listening and watching out there, we appreciate your attention, time, and energy as well. And we look forward to doing this again with everybody next week. On that note, I'm going to wrap it up here, everybody. John, Renata, thanks again. And thank you to everybody for watching.
Thank you.
Talk
Bye.
soon.